Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming and learning more about OpenAI and financial services with us today. My name is Sarah Van Hambren. I'm one of the cloud solution architects here at Microsoft. This is an informal talk for us to explore the subject. With me today is one of my peers, Thomas Matthew. Thomas, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Sarah. First of all, again, thank you for inviting me. My name is Thomas Matthew. I am the technology lead for financial services within Microsoft Global Partner Solutions, or GPS, primarily focused on the US side of the business. I also have the privilege of working with the ISVs and services partners in general, architecting, building, and launching solutions. I'm glad we are doing this session on OpenAI, given the overwhelming interest on this topic that we have seen from customers and partners.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. And thank you for doing this on a Friday. I know you could be doing so many more things on a Friday afternoon. Before we really go into the FSI component, can we start just describing a little bit about just OpenAI elements in general, and then we can go specifically into FSI?
Yeah, I can cover that. I can actually talk a little bit about Microsoft's relationship is with OpenAI, introduce Azure OpenAI service, and also share a few dominant use cases within financial services in each of the verticals. The objective is to seed these use cases to help you scout for new financial services solution candidates that we can then have downstream conversations on. As you might already know, OpenAI is a research lab. Microsoft has heavily invested in it in the last few years. And primarily OpenAI consists of a team of researchers and engineers dedicated to advancing artificial intelligence in a way it benefits humanity as a whole. And that's their mission. Interestingly, their mission snugly fits in with Microsoft's mission of empowering every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. OpenAI conducts research across various fields of AI. That includes natural language processing, models such as GPT-3, which can generate human-like text, answer questions, and perform a wide range of language tasks. They also cover computer vision, robotics, reinforcement learning is another one, a form of machine learning that involves training agents to make decisions based on rewards and punishments to create those intelligent systems that can learn from experience. I want to quickly pounce into what is Azure OpenAI service. Azure OpenAI is a combination of two technologies, Microsoft Azure and OpenAI, with the objective of building enterprise-grade applications. Based on this partnership with OpenAI, Microsoft is actually delivering on three main goals. One is to utilize the Azure infrastructure that includes security, all the private networking and all of that, as well as compliance and regional availability to help our partners and customers build enterprise-grade applications. Also, another objective is to deploy OpenAI model capabilities across Microsoft's own products beyond Azure in general. And thirdly, to use Azure to power all of OpenAI's workloads. These models include GPT-3, Codex, Dolly, and ChatGPT, which is coming soon. These models primarily help in content generation, summarizations, semantic search, and natural language to code translations as well. The solutions are deployed to your own Azure subscriptions. There are pre-trained AI models. There are also tools for fine-tuning these models, APIs for interacting with these models, and quite naturally, being part of the Azure, it provides all the scalability and reliability that we need, and also enforces the security and compliance aspects as well. So with that as a backdrop.
Actually, before you go, I actually think I saw the announcement for the ChatGPT preview come yesterday or a few days ago. So just for the folks who are watching this later on in the future, ChatGPT is probably already there and not coming soon anymore. So that's great news. Back to you. Apologies for cutting you off, Thomas.
Yeah, that's a great point, Sarah. Thanks for inserting that in. Yeah, in terms of finding and exploring what the use cases are, I think it is necessary to start with what we need to carefully consider within the financial services industry, which is a highly regulated industry. I would like to first share a few guardrails to consider in this aspects, scenarios that we should avoid. Avoid scenarios where up-to-date and factual, accurate information is crucial, like numeric calculations or computing risk. Another one is to avoid sending automated AI advice. It is recommended to have human touch points or reviewers in that process. Another case is to avoid is around use cases that may have regulatory implications, not suitable for just a wide open-ended, unconstrained content generations. Scenarios where users can generate content on any topic are more likely to produce offensive or harmful content. The same is true with longer generations as well. The service also does not have the information about current events after the training date, and hence might produce results that might be misleading. So keep those in mind. Also avoid scenarios where their use or misuse of the system could have consequential impact on life opportunities or legal status. These examples include scenarios where individuals' legal status or legal rights or their access to credit, education, employment, etc., can be affected. In the context of financial services specifically, these could also include risk modeling, credit scoring, underwriting, etc. So keep that in mind as you are exploring various use cases for financial services. Typically, the use cases to evaluate, I would recommend the approach to being start something small and build from there, limiting the use of service to a narrow domain area reduces the risk of generating unintended and undesirable responses. The sweet spot, as I mentioned briefly before, includes text analysis, summarization, forms or content generation, information discovery, and knowledge mining. So with that,
Thomas,
yeah,
is it safe to? I mean, as I listen to you, like I'm thinking kind of a like current automation slash like chatbot like scenarios come to mind. Like, is that like a safe as analogy to like where you could get started in a safe way?
yes, absolutely. Anything that is textual and summarizations and generation of text to help aid various roles within financial institutions as an example, those are amazing cases. Also empowering, as you said, the end customer of financial institutions with information that is summarized, et cetera. Those are amazing use cases. So with that, I can quickly go through a few dominant use cases. And again, the use cases are fairly unbounded, but these are some obvious areas that we have seen with our partners and customers. So to begin with, the customer service, Azure OpenAI can be used to create, as Sarah you mentioned, chatbots that can assist customers with common questions and tasks, such as checking account balances or making a payment. Another area is around analyzing call center conversations once they are converted to text. And here we can actually leverage Azure Cognitive Services in this context. Fraud detection is another area to analyze customer interactions again and detect patterns that might indicate fraudulent activity. Again, the final decisions will have to be interloaded with human touch points. Chatbot for empowering financial advisors to provide that personalized investment advice to clients is another huge opportunity here based on the customer's risk appetite and time horizon and other factors. Natural language processing based on document analysis is a huge opportunity. Azure OpenAI can be used to analyze legal and financial documents and extracting the important information um, and reducing that need for human involvement and increasing the overall efficiency. Another pillar is around language translation, where OpenAI can be used to translate banking documents and customer interactions, particularly making it easier perhaps for non-English speaking customers to access banking services. And again, These scenarios could also help with the compliance tracking and auditing and to ensure approvals and processes take place in a compliant way. Overall, Azure OpenAI can be used in the banking industry to automate tasks, improve customer service, and making more informed decisions based on data and evidence. So with that, I can transition into the next vertical, which is insurance. It's very symmetric to the banking. In this case, again, there's a customer service element of it where we can assist policyholders with common questions and querying knowledge bases to answer more advanced questions. OpenAI again can analyze call center conversations once they have been converted to text, as I mentioned before. The second area is around claims process automation, retrieving policy informations and commencing a claim would be a great area. Um, Fraud detection, as mentioned before, analyzing those customer interactions and detecting patterns that may indicate fraudulent activities. And then similar to the banking, where we have chatbots for agents to help assist insurance agents to compare and retrieve pricing and policy information. Um, and pervasively through all these three verticals, natural language processing for document analysis applies here as well, reducing the need for human involvement and increasing those efficiencies. Language translation, again, is very pertinent in here in the insurance vertical as well. So with that, I will quickly cover the use cases in our third vertical, which is capital markets. In here, very similar to banking, OpenAI can be used to provide smart bots or robo advisors that clients, in this case, can query and have access to multiple knowledge sources and answer advanced client service requests. Um, OpenAI can summarize investor reports. That is in the area of summarization, look at company results and empower advisors to be more productive. We can also have OpenAI generate pitch books as well as presentation for a client describing latest status on their asset classes and portfolio. A fourth pillar around this in the capital markets vertical is to analyze text and voice interactions and detect non-compliant interaction, again, part of the market surveillance. And finally, as with before, natural language document analysis and accessibility and language translation is also a key set of use cases in this vertical as well.
Thank you, Thomas. This has been really helpful, even for someone like me who's not just, like always thinking about FSI. Very easy to follow along. A lot of overlap on the use case across the verticals, but obviously having to keep that niche customization for the personas and processes, I'll imagine. So if I'm interested in any of these use cases, maybe I already have a specialty in one of these, but I want to explore using OpenAI to improve my existing process. What do you recommend to like get started?
Yeah, great question. And there are few potential starting points that I would recommend. One is request access to the Azure OpenAI service. We had such an overwhelming request for the service, so we're kind of gating it through. So there's a form that you can actually fill out if you already do not have access to it. And so here's the URL for it. The second area is about ramping up and learning about what Azure OpenAI service is all about. So here's the URL that you can actually take a peek at, and there's a ton of documents, and we're continuing to grow that documentation. And finally, as a customer and a partner of Microsoft, we really encourage you to reach out to your Microsoft account team or your contact, and we would really like to actually explore with you what the use case that you have in mind and ideate and plan the next steps so we can actually build solutions together leveraging Azure OpenAI.
Yeah, I actually heard like through the grapevines that as far as requesting access, you're more likely to be successful on being approved if you share specific use cases and details on that use case as opposed to just broadly requesting access. At least for now, while the access to the service is still being gatekept through that form. Thomas, again, thank you so much for going over this with us, and again for spending your Friday afternoon with me. Thanks everyone for watching, and if you want to see more content like this, just let us know. Probably on the chat. I will imagine there's a chat under this. And thanks everyone so much. Have a good rest of your day.